Hey, all, Brian with Kingdom to Connect. Great to be back with you. It's been a little while. Um, I really enjoy doing these videos when life allows it and it makes sense. So it's been a little crazy last couple few months. I can't remember exactly the last one that I did, but got some career changes unexpected that are upcoming, and some had a bit of a health flare up in the last month or so. And so anyway, life has just been life, and starting to climb out of some of this, and just kind of moving through the transition. Life is always a transition in one way or another, so nothing surprising there. But I had really been missing coming on and just sharing the things that God puts on my heart, and just growing and maturing, um, and just fighting through things. And that's just how we grow, is through discomfort and, I guess, levels of suffering, and however you want to put it. But um, I was studying recently and just thinking about faith, and really asking the Lord to do a deep work in me to teach me more about faith, and really wanting to move beyond just what I know in my head, and have I guess, a more profound, a more substantive perspective on faith from God's perspective, right? After all, really, I guess the biblical um, definition of faith is, or I guess the biblical basis of faith is just God's preference. What does God prefer? And as I was reading, and then afterwards praying the other day, I just began to think about how when we tackle things with our mind, when I tackle things with my mind, I'm trying to work through things and logically come up with solutions to problems I may be having. And I'm thinking, well, I can do this in order to achieve this. I need to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, that kind of stuff, right? It's just, we're calculating. And when we're using our head, when we're calculating, it's just kind of cold, and there's just a method to it, a sequence to it. It's, I hate to say cold and calculated, but I guess that's really is what it is. It's just, it's logical, it's black and white. If you're a computer, it would be zeros and ones, right? Or just, there's a list of pros on one side and a list of cons on the other side. It's that type of deal. And so oftentimes when I'm praying, there's really a choice there. It's, is this going to be the type of prayer that is just a lot more mind focused, where I'm just thinking of, just really heavily thinking about specific things, maybe specific things about a particular person, or just praying along those lines. And so I'm really drilling down deep into my mind to make sure I get everything out that I want. And then there's that I want to set before the Lord, right? But then there's other times where it's more heavily focused on just wanting to be in God's presence, and just to sit quietly and be with him, and just listen, and to see what he may put into my spirit, and what he drops in there, and then I pray that out. And there's a real difference there in prayer like that. And when I'm just trying to get things out, things that are in my mind, and I'm just trying to empty my mind out in prayer, that's one thing. But when I go before the Lord and really quiet my soul, quiet my mind, quiet those thoughts, and just take the time to just get that to that inner quiet place, that inner place that's quiet, to where I can just sit with the Lord, sit in his presence. And then there's a serenity, there's a peace, his peace. Really what I'm doing there is entering into his rest, saying, Lord, I am here not to empty out my mind, but to just be with you, to sit with you, to enter into your rest and spend time with you. And not to say that there's not a place, obviously, we are to petition and ask and all of those things. But when we start, it seems like when I start with just that, from that heart place of, I just want to be with you, I want to sit with you, I want to get quiet on the inside and just come before you and sit and see what you want. What is your preference? What do you want to drop inside of me? And then pray from that. Pray from what you deposit into me in the Spirit. And then I pick up on that and then just pray it out as it flows in and flows back out. And so all of that to say, and this isn't going to be a long video, but I just really wanted to focus in on that difference, that you can discern, you can practice, and something was flying around, sorry about that, but you can practice and discern when something feels more cold and calculated, maybe for lack of better description, but when it feels cold and calculated versus when it feels warm and just like there's a flow to it, there's a warmth to it, there's a density, a heaviness, just a rest, kind of like you're just wrapped in a heavy warm blanket. And so you learn to recognize when we discipline ourselves and when we stop to really think about, hey, what's coming out of me right now? What does this feel like? Does this feel more kind of cold and calculated and I'm just running down a list? Or does this have that in the Spirit warm flow, that heavy weighted blanket type of feeling where I'm just sitting and resting in the presence of God, and I'm just inviting him to make a deposit into my spirit, and then out of that I just naturally pray out with words once that hits me. And so I enjoy practicing those types of things and learning what it feels like to be in the Spirit and to be receiving in the Spirit versus what it feels like to be more in my head and just running down a list. And so it's just another thing to think about as we go into prayer with the Lord, and to give him our time and to just be with him and to learn what it feels like, to learn what it is to just sit in his presence and how we perceive that within ourselves. So I hope that doesn't sound like too hippie-ish or anything as I sit here with my little beanie on. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you all have been doing well. Looking forward to getting into some other things that I've been studying and thinking about. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, but life just keeps going on with a lot of the same things every day that we all deal with. And I just want to encourage you to, as always, spend time with him. Give yourself time to really think about these things that I've brought up today. Is your prayer time sitting before him? Is it more list oriented? Is it more kind of that cold, calculated, logical sort of thing? Or is there a warmth that flows, a rest, his peace, kind of like you're just floating in a pool of his peace? The peace of God, I just imagine like floating on my back. I remember as a kid, my grandmother, she used to just be able to just float on top of the water with no effort whatsoever. And I just remember thinking, wow, Grandma, that is so amazing that you could do that. And I just thought that was the coolest thing as a kid. But it's often just like that when we sit in the presence of the Lord, in his warmth and that vitality and life that is him is flowing, and we're just kind of on our backs, just effortlessly, just floating and receiving and resting and just enjoying him and allowing him, inviting him to just drop things into our spirit. And it's just so wonderful to bless him, to honor him, and to have him bless us with his presence and to interact with him in these ways. So I just want to encourage you in that. Look forward to talking to you again here very soon. Love you all. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.